All right, James Cameron has done a lot of great movies, and he's currently focusing on the Avatar movies, but he's really known for Titanic and Avatar, as well as doing some really kick-ass Terminator movies and Aliens. He has a flair for big blockbuster films. However, back in 1994, right before the big blockbuster of all time came out with Titanic, he did release a film with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and it's not Terminator 2 Judgment Day. It's True Lies with Jamie Lee Curtis along starring as well. And I want to review this movie because it is celebrating its 30th anniversary. And also, it's a film that I did watch quite a bit growing up. My dad, again, he definitely has helped sculpt some of my favorite films of all time. He has definitely showed me some really great movies. And this is being one of the movies that we watched quite a lot more than I probably do remember. And being a big Arnold Schwarzenegger fan, probably because of the Terminator movies, which James Cameron also did, journeying into this movie and talking about True Lies is going to be a really fun conversation. So before I get too far into this review, I want to just take a second and ask for you guys to share your guys' thoughts, takes, and opinions on True Lies down in the comments section if you're watching us on YouTube. And if you're listening to our podcast, feel free to drop a review and make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe wherever you guys are watching or listening to this little review of the film True Lies. All right. The movie follows Harry Tasker, played by Arnold Schwarzenegger. He is a spy at night and a salesman during the day, kind of living the boring life at home. His wife is Helen Tasker, and he also has a daughter named Dana. Of course, we know as we're following along the movie, Harry Tasker is a pretty good special agent. We see him kick off the movie with a bang. He breaks through the ice. He has an awesome tux. He goes into this party. He dances. He steals some files from some bad guys, and he gets out there in a hurry. And he doesn't have a ticket for the party, so he blows up a bunch of stuff along the way, and he gets out there with his special pals, his partners in crime, one of them being Tom Arnold. And growing up, my favorite character in this movie was Tom Arnold's character. And I gotta say, so many years later, after seeing this movie countless number of times, I gotta say Tom Arnold is one of my favorite parts of this movie. His quick, witty dialogue hits every single line. I love his dialogue in this movie. I think James Cameron was having a blast and probably using some real-life marital humor in some of the lines with Tom Arnold here. With his maybe messy breakup with Catherine Bigelow. That's a conspiracy theory for another time. However, this movie does his Tom Arnold's dialogue. It uses his quick-witted humor and the way he speaks to its fullest, and he's just it was a really great character that I love. And who would have thought Arnold Schwarzenegger and Tom Arnold being partners in a spy movie? Would never have guessed it in a million years until you watch True Lies, and it absolutely works in spades. But anyway, Helen Tasker also kind of living the boring life as well. She's wanting some adventure, so eventually she gets a little restless at home because Harry's not there. Meets a guy named Simon, played by the late, great Bill Paxton here. Paxton Memorial Award goes to. But he meets this guy named Simon, of course. Arnold, Harry Tasker, doesn't like that, so he's kind of intervene there as well to try to get his wife back. But of course, the bad guys from the beginning of the movie, remember them? They come back in full vengeance and they kidnap Harry and Ellen, and there's just a big nuclear power threat at the very end of the movie, and of course only one guy can save us, and that is Harry Tasker. James Cameron here does a really great thing. He is known for these big blockbuster movies that I've mentioned before, and he quite possibly has directed arguably one of the better alien movies with Aliens. I think people can go back and forth which one's better. I like the original Alien movie myself personally, but Aliens, which is Cameron's movie, by far, I would not be upset with anybody who said this was the best Alien movie around, because they definitely are right. I think Aliens has a way of being a horrific and also a really fun action movie at the same time, and with iconic lines. I think James Cameron does a great thing with iconic lines. In Aliens, you got "Stay away from her, you bitch," and then you get Terminator, you got "Talk to the hand" or "Hasta la vista, baby," in Terminator 2. which is another one of the best action movies of all time. Definitely a top 100 movie. How can you not love the Terminator or Terminator 2, Judgment Day? Great movies there. And of course, in this movie, you have funny lines, memorable lines, maybe not most iconic movies lines of all time, but for me, one of my favorite lines is by Tom Arnold. I gotta go and shout out Tom Arnold again, and it's this.
I come home one day and the house is completely empty, and I mean completely empty. She even took the ice cube trays out of the freezer. What kind of a sick bitch takes the ice cube trays out of the freezer?
Yeah, who steals the freaking ice cream trays? I don't understand it, but I absolutely love the line delivery here. But we also see Jamie Lee Curtis, and Jamie Lee Curtis is really known for a few things at this point now in her career. She is known as Laurie Strode as Halloween. She played her way back in the first couple of Halloween movies. Of course, she did come back for the David Gordon Green Halloween movies as well. Of course, she just won an Oscar for Everything Everywhere All at Once, so there's that to be remembered as well. My daughter personally knows her as the mom from Freaky Friday, the remake with Lindsay Lohan. So she's looking forward to the next one. But this is a movie that when I think of Jamie Lee Curtis, I do think of Halloween. Obviously, I'm a big horror fan, and I love that first film a lot, and she's fantastic in it. But True Lies also is a quick second mention for me. Helen here is a very interesting character. Obviously, she really loves Harry, and she's kind of subdued and kind of getting into her life and kind of just being okay with being okay, and which is perfectly fine. But she also wants some adventure, so she does step out of the relationship. And obviously, I never promote or I never think cheating is a good thing to do, but there is some of that. She's thinking that it's going to help her itch for wanting adventure, wanting to feel worth it, wanting to feel like, hey, I did that, I did this, and kind of have that sense of having a bad side in it as well. But with that, obviously Harry loves his wife as well and wants to salvage and save this marriage, so would do something just as bad and trying to set up and use government forces to catch this Simon guy and kind of scare him to death because he's a fraud. He's using fake stories. So seeing the kind of building blocks of fixing this relationship with Harry and Helen in this movie is a really fun setup here. And of course, this movie has some really great action sequences here, which is James Cameron is known to do and have in his movies. There's a prolific one with them going to a bathroom and having a really fun bathroom fight with a couple henchmen here, and it inevitably leads to a police chase here. We have the leader of this terrorist organization. He is running. He's fleeing on a motorcycle, and of course Arnold doesn't get in a car, he doesn't get on a scooter, doesn't get on a motorcycle himself. No, he gets on horseback, and they go up a Marriott hotel elevator, and they get to the top floor, and the terrorist leader jumps across to the other building and falls into the pool. And of course Arnold's like, okay, there goes my hero, and tries to jump the gap as well. Unfortunately, the horse is like, no, we're not stupid here. We're not dying for this, and saves him. So it's a really memorable scene, and seeing some really fun set pieces like that. Of course, you have a really great chase with a helicopter, like saving Jamie Lee Curtis on this bridge where nuclear warheads are coming through, and you have, also Arnold flying a jet to try to save his daughter at the very end of the movie was awesome. And of course, I think another iconic scene here, it's not an action sequence, but there's a very seductive dance sequence with Jamie Lee Curtis. Of course, one of the more, I will say this now because I'm older now, but as a kid I would never admit this because I didn't want to get in air quotes trouble, but I definitely watched the Jamie Lee Curtis dance sequence a bit, because it's very hot. It's a very hot scene for Jamie Lee Curtis to do, and of course it's great. And seeing even Arnold being impressed by her dance moves, drops the little recording device in the hotel room as well. True Lies is just a blast to watch. It's a really fun movie, one that still holds up till this day, and one of the films, quite honestly, that James Cameron has done that for the longest time didn't have a 4K release, didn't have a Blu-ray release for a long time either. Another one of my favorite movies is from 1989 that he did, which is called The Abyss. I love The Abyss. I think that's a very underrated James Cameron movie, but another one that didn't have a 4K restoration. Now, I do know that they have since this year in 2024 have released True Lies and The Abyss on 4K, and I definitely need to pick both of them up. I heard the transfers aren't the greatest, and I think that a lot of people has said that as well with Terminator 2, because I think he is focusing on the Avatar movies, and with Avatar 2, the Shape of Water, that's not the title, The Way of Water, being a big blockbuster hit. I think obviously he's focusing all his attention on Avatar 3, and which is a shame because I really would like to have a great transfer of The Abyss and True Lies, but I can't make rash decisions or judgments on what some other people say. I do have to purchase them myself and actually watch them. So maybe that's something I do report back on at a later date. But True Lies here is a film that I can rewatch quite a bit, and I haven't seen it for many years, but I found myself remembering sequences and lines and laughing at stuff that I had remembered laughing at as a kid, and showing my wife and actually my daughter for the first time. I said, hey, this is one of your grandpa's favorite movies, so she wanted to sit down and watch it as well, and she had some fun with it too. I definitely was the more hooked to it because I grew up on it, and the other two, they liked it for that because I liked it a lot. But it still is just a fantastic watch, and one of my favorite films from 1994, rightfully so. And James Cameron, I don't think the guy really misses too much. I think he did Piranha, which is not good. One of the Piranha movies anyway, but I know is not good, but he really doesn't make bad movies. You may have movies near the bottom of your list and you may not like it, but I don't think anybody really hates any of his movies. We're excluding Piranha 3 or whatever. At the same time, he's an awesome director that knows how to direct action sequences, knows how to set up stories and make them really quickly paced, because this movie isn't short. This movie is 2 hours and 20 minutes, and it flies by. For being 140 minutes, it's a quick watch for me, and I would gladly do it again and watch it back to back. It's perfectly paced for me, and I love Arnold Schwarzenegger in this kind of comedy action film. I feel like he really plays the character really well, and it would have been interesting to see a True Lies 2 where Harry and Ellen are, because obviously they set up for another one with another mission. But that's sometimes wishing for a sequel is not always the best policy. Kind of imagining what this next chapter would be is maybe even more fascinating. That's where we'll leave it here. My thoughts on True Lies. I love this movie. Go watch it. Go rent it. Go buy it on 4K. Whatever you need to do. Go watch this. Revisit True Lies. I think you won't regret it. It's a really fun movie that from start to finish. So